Welcome to the Knowledge Catalog, and we are going to tackle another really important social issue, which is job mismatch. If you want to use this presentation, if you want to have a copy of it, you may send me a message through facebook.com/knowledge catalog/. I am CJ. Let's proceed. This is our current labor situation in the Philippines, or at least this is the most updated data that I was able to lay hands on. We have a 43.29 million labor force. Of that, we have 40.65 million employed labor, and then 2.64 of it is unemployed. The youth, which comprises of 15 to 30 years old people who are 15 to 30 years old, their unemployment rate is about 1,425,000 as of October 2016. Yeah, I know that may be a really long time ago, pero yeah, we can use that data pa rin naman to for the purpose of this discussion. And yeah, as you notice, it is half of the unemployed population, since this is 1 million, and then that is around 2 million and 2.64 million, I mean. Okay, so as of 2017 though, 5.7% of the labor force is unemployed, while 16.1 is underemployed. Again, when we say unemployed, they don't really have work. And then when we say naman underemployed, they have a job, pero it is not really the kind of job na fit para sa skills nila. That is, yung skills na tinrain nila and and educational background nila. As of 2017 naman, 14.60% of the unemployed are college undergraduates, whereas 16.55% are graduates and higher. So of the unemployed population, 14.60 are undergraduates of college. And then meron pa rin, actually mas mataas pa actually yung mga graduates na actually pati yung mga postgraduates, okay, they are under this number, kaya siguro mataas siya, 16.55%. Okay, so that is the data that we have. Now, a youth unemployment problem, school to work transition. It takes a high school graduate to up to 3 years to find a first job, and 4 years to find a permanent wage job. Actually, this is fast na eh. I mean, since siguro the data was way back 2016, it may be different now, or siguro now for high school graduates it may be quite longer. And so it takes 3 years to find their first job. So in the first first 2 years they are during that transition they are unemployed, and then in the fourth year pwedeng meron silang mga permanent jobs, and that is still uncertain. Now it takes a college graduate naman 1 year to find the first job, and up to 2 years to find a permanent job. This is in my case not true, kasi I was able to find I was able to find my first job like wala pa mang 1 year. Pero a permanent job, it depends siguro upon what kind of definition we attach to it. Okay, pero in my case, it took me 4 years para talagang makita ko yung permanent job ko na. Ayan. The transition period may include job search behavior, short-term skills training. It may include some temporary work, okay? And then meron ding household duties, pero nasa bahay lang siya. Or pwede siyang makonsider as NEET, okay? Sa transition na yun, pwedeng nag-job search naman siya habang wala siyang trabaho, naghahanap kasi siya, yan. Pwedeng nagtutraining siya for some short-term skills, pwedeng meron siyang temporary work, pwedeng nasa bahay lang siya, meron siyang work sa bahay, and then meron siguro we refer to this as yung mga nagiging kasama sa bahay. Then meron ding NEET na talagang nasa bahay lang, as in, not in education, employment, or training. Ayan. About 1 in 4 youth are NEET. They have prolonged periods in NEET can damage youth future labor market prospects. Those at higher risks of becoming NEET, or again, not in education, employment, or training, are women, because of this, the statistics say 1 in 3 women are going to be NEET. And then young people from lower income families are also at risk of becoming NEET. Yeah. The NEET, there's this NEET rate comparison in the ASEAN. Actually, you may go to the website of the World Bank, or siguro search nyo lang, not in employment, not in education, employment, and training, ganon, World Bank. Makikita nyo yung yung tool nila na to. So what I did is I specifically selected these 5 countries. They belong to the ASEAN, and try to see the ranking, okay, for the NEET. In my reference, dun sa Employers Confederation of the Philippines, yung ECOP, yung data nila doon was not updated kasi siguro dahil ginamit siya before the year 2017 was finished. Pero now that that year was is long done, this is the final ranking. According to ECOP's report in 2017, Philippines fell second to Indonesia. But in this updated report, Philippines came now as the top one. The country with the most number of NEET in the ASEAN. Okay, so number 1 tayo dito sa ranking at least with these 5. With this rate of 21.699 and 21.449 for Indonesia. Vietnam has the lowest NEET rate with only 9.702. Now, in 2018 naman, we switched, and so Indonesia was first, and then our country is second na lang. So bumaba, in these terms, bumaba yung rate natin for NEET. Mas dumami yung mga youth na nasa education and training and employment. For 2019 naman, I was not able to get data from Malaysia. It was not available. But the following is showing that bumaba pa lalo yung NEET natin, and then Vietnam naman na tumaas, which is not good. Okay, and then ayun. So these so far our data for NEET. Now, while I'm recording this video September 6, 2020, the pandemic is still ongoing. We are still we still don't have a vaccine, so we can't really loosen up like 100%. A lot of people lost jobs, and actually we didn't just lose jobs in the country, we also lost businesses. Even the bigger ones, yung mga multinational companies and businesses, yung mga franchises nila nagsipagsarahan na rin. Say, McDonald's, meron nagsasarang Jollibee. Ayan, malls din kasi they are closed. And then ang nagbo-boom ngayon is the food industry na delivery, yung access. Hindi yung mga dine-in, ganun. Kung meron man mga dine-in, 50% capacity as of now. So, we are actually, it may be not good to hear, pero we expect this NEET to be higher, not just in our country, but also with other countries. Ayan, so the Philippine education system, the problem was a slow school-to-work transition. So again, school-to-work transition. So we are referring to we are actually taking it as a fact that the laborer, the worker, must come from some kind of an educational background. And in the Philippines, the connection between the school and the industry, it is going to be a conversation where we are going to identify what is the relationship of these institutions with the industry. Okay, So in talking about the school to work transition in the Philippines, we need to talk about first these three institutions in the country that are looking after the educational system. Okay, so through the 1992 Congressional Commission on Education, or EDCOM, I think I've been seeing this actually a lot, especially in graduate school. It's like a Commission on Education. It's like Educational Commission, EDCOM. Okay, through its through its report, the Philippine education adapted a trifocal system where three separate agencies govern the three levels of education, or three divisions of education. We have here the Kagawaran ng Edukasyon, or the Department of Education, the Commission on Higher Education, and the Technical ano kasi ito? Technical Education and Skills Development Authority, TESDA. So actually we'll see it later. These three are the three agencies, okay, governing the three levels of education. So let's first talk about Kagawaran ng Edukasyon. It oversees the basic education system in the Philippines. It adapted the K-12 system way back 2014. It was signed, okay? It was signed in 2013, but it was adapted in 2014 to align with prevailing international practice. If you want to know more about the K-12, I have a separate video for it. Students, they receive additional 2 years of study. We call that senior high school, where they are afforded additional career guidance and are exposed to different tracks for specialization. We have 4 tracks, as far as I remember, 4 tracks in senior high school. We have academic track, meron din yung sports track, meron din yung arts and design track, and then meron pa yung isa, TVL track. Technical, vocational, and livelihood. So those are 4. And then under those 4, meron mga strands. Okay, halimbawa yung common, halimbawa ABM is a strand under the academic track. ICT, meron siya, actually, mas ano yata siya sa TVL, ICT. Ayan. As support to the new K-12 system, the Department of Labor and Employment, or DOLE, developed a career guidance and employment coaching program for students who are in the last 2 years of high school. That is in years 11 and 12. So, tumulong na ang mismong DOLE in making sure that the students or the graduates of K-12 program are ready for their next steps. Now, the next steps, before we head on to this, the next steps for K-12 graduates are the following. Pwedeng employment, okay? Pwedeng entrepreneurial yung next na step nila. Pwede ring higher education, that is college. And then, if I remember it well, yung isa is training, skills training. Yeah, if I'm not mistaken, parang ganun siya. So those 4 are the next steps for graduates of K-12. Now, the Commission on Higher Education supervises the tertiary and higher education levels. That is, all of the colleges, all of the universities, professional and graduate schools are being governed by the Commission on Higher Education. Okay. Meron lang yatang degree rin of management ang iba, say yung DOST, if I'm not mistaken ulit. I don't want to sound like napaka-confident ko sa information na pero let me tell you na there's this idea na DOST is governing several schools, siguro in partnership with DepEd, yun. CHED is also doing the same. May mga schools na governed by CHED, yeah, pero meron sila halimbawang lab school, so meron silang high school level, pero so syempre they're under the rule of siguro K-12, that's DepEd. Yeah. So mandates premised by the national government's commitment to transformational leadership that puts education as the focal point for alleviating poverty. Again, education as the focal point for alleviating poverty, investing in the Filipino people, and building national competitiveness. That is through higher education. Its mandates include the first one, to promote relevant and high quality higher education, where higher education institutions and programs are at par with international standards. And then ensure that quality higher education is accessible to all who seek it, particularly those who may not be able to afford it. So the first mandate is much like quality education that is at par with international standards. That is first mandate. The second one is to make that available to all. The next is to guarantee and protect academic freedom for continuing intellectual growth, advancement of learning and research, development of responsible and effective leadership, education of high-level professionals, and enrichment of historical and cultural heritages. If you're gonna look at this, meron siyang, ang pinagkaiba lang talaga niya dun sa mandates halimbawa ng DepEd is yung regarding sa yung depth nila sa research. Kasi when we were talking about higher education research, we are talking about experimental social type that are really going to be published more or less sa mga refereed journals locally or internationally. Ang DepEd kasi, yung ano niya sa mga students niya, sa mga learners, is not really research centered. What I mean is ganito, we are not really forcing the students to conduct that kind of research yet. At grade 7, what we do is we introduce it to the students upon grade 11 and grade 12. Parts of it siguro, parts and parcel. Parts of it are discussed through English classes or through junior high school science classes, say in their science investigatory projects, but we don't do it the way CHED is doing it. And, well, if any, the Department of Education has a research agenda, and that is its answer to this requirement, international requirement. Teachers and non-teaching staff, administrators and supervisors, even superintendents, if I'm not mistaken, are encouraged to do research. Yeah. But not the students, of course. They're not. If they're encouraged, again, it is not the high-level type of research. The next mandate is to commit to moral ascendancy that eradicates corrupt practices, institutionalizes transparency and accountability, and encourages participatory governance in the commission and subsectors. So this is opening the Commission on Higher Education and the management, the government, to a lot of people. Involving the industry, though, in the development of quality higher education is not part of CHED's mandates. Again, involving the industry. What do you mean by industry? Actual businesses, the field, companies who are actually going to hire people who come from higher education institutions. Okay, they are not, involving them is not one of the mandates of CHED. So see, direct participation of business and industry in higher education via the CHED is yet to be institutionalized. Perhaps it is yet to be institutionalized. And even if it is institutionalized, we will see later in this video, ano pa yung nagiging problem because of, if ever may connection, the weak connection between the industry and, higher education. The next one is TESDA. It is the main agency for supervising technical and vocational training. It is the main agency for that. It is mandated to mobilize industry, labor, local government units, and technical vocational institutions in the skills development of the country's human resources. And that includes everyone. The country's human resources includes everyone, of course, of legal age. There are courses, short-term courses from TESDA that are specific for a particular kind of subject. Say, a national certificate is released for cookery, a national certificate is released for bread and pastry, another national certificate is released, say for instance, for hosting events and organizing them. They're specific. And these trainings are sometimes becoming qualifications actually, even for both for professional jobs and yung mga blue-collar jobs. Say, for professional jobs, we mean teachers who are going to teach in public schools, say senior high school, so serve in the government, are sometimes required to present training certifications. So usually they come from TESDA, yeah. And then for blue collar jobs naman, halimbawa yung mga tawag doon, yung mga industry, yung mga companies sa industry, yung mga small shops, ganun. There are engineering firms and actually engineering trading firms na nagre-require ng ganyang klaseng requirement, mga national certificates too. Ayan. So yeah, everyone is invited. I mean, everyone's invited. Everyone is involved in by saying human resources. So the mandates include devoting training functions to local governments. Devolve training functions to local governments. Reform the apprenticeship program. So yeah, pero I would like to focus on in here kasi. So, involve industry or employers in skills training. Yeah, so it's highlighted because it is a very, very important part of it is a very important mandate of TESDA. Formulate a skills development plan and develop and administer training incentives, organize skills competitions, manage skills development funds. So yeah, involving the industry and employers in the actual skills training is one of the mandates of TESDA. Say, sino magta-train sa inyo sa bread and pastry? Of course, somebody who has been in the industry of bread and pastry. Like, if you're gonna ask me who is the best teacher to teach anything, it will be that someone who came from the industry doing that same thing. So I hope you get that. Now, this is the traditional understanding of the gap between the industry and the academe. Again, this is the traditional understanding. Okay, so this is how we first saw it, yung gap, okay, between the industry and the academe. Ang nandyan lang, obviously, is the new graduate. I mean, the fresh graduate and the industry. The way we see it, it's just the two of them. When in fact, the teacher, the graduate, and the industry are all involved in that particular in looking at that particular gap. Kapag halimbawa iniisip mo yung gap ng industry at saka ng academe, wag mo lang isipin mismo yung fresh graduate na siya lang yung problema or siya lang yung merong kulang, okay? Kasi ito yung nagre-require, ito yung syempre, ito yung tatanggap sa'yo, or nandito yung employers mo, nandito yung field mo, nandito yung pinaghandaan mo, nasa industry. So if you are the graduate and then your skills are not matching those requirements from the industry, that is not just your problem. It is also the problem of your professors, the faculty who taught you way back in that academic institution you were in. Okay? So this is the entire problem. This is the gap. Okay? This causes the gap. Okay? It is the lack of connection between the teacher and the industry. If the teacher came from the industry, such as in this case, then we would be able to address that gap. say, okay, the teacher who came from the industry is going to teach a student, and then once that student graduates, that student is equipped with the information, technical know-hows, and even actually yung mga values na kailangan in order to survive that particular industry. And now that same student who is already in the industry na pinagtrainingan niya, and say he wanted to go back to the academic institution, he is qualified because his experience is something that he can share with new students. This is how we should look at the training problem. This is how we should address it. There must be a connection between the teacher and the industry. The faculty must be comprised of competent individuals, those individuals who came from the industry. Say for instance, if the student is taking a Bachelor of Secondary Education course in college. Okay, I'm using this example because ito yung nakaka-relate ako, because I of course I am a graduate I have that degree. I'm a Bachelor of Secondary Education. Say I am that. Okay, I'm a student and I need to train myself while I am still in that university to become a teacher for secondary education, particularly in science. I need to spend those years, I need to do all of these tasks, all of it, they're all in the name of me preparing myself for the industry. Now, who are the best people to teach me how should I do that? Of course, secondary science teachers from the industry, or perhaps secondary teachers, secondary school teachers from the industry who are in the academe. I hope I'm making sense. Because why should a student be taught by someone who doesn't, say the student is going to have child development and that kind of subject, child psychology, child development. So the focus there, since siya ay isang secondary high school student, is to teach this pre-service teacher of the development of behaviors of secondary high school students. That's the goal, right? Now, how are you going to teach that if you yourself haven't taught secondary high school students? I hope I'm making sense. Ayan. Okay. And one more thing is it's just that that, say for instance in other skills, halimbawa in engineering, it is really important that a teacher must come from the industry kasi kailangan din dun yung mga iba pang mga skills na hindi naman matuturo ng isang taong never talagang nailagay sa firm na yun. Say everyone, a professor may teach the pre-service engineering, but can he teach him like something about managing your own engineering business, or looking for the customers or whatnot? I know that there can be a separate subject for that, pero iba pa rin kapag yung mismong teacher can teach the student something practical about the profession that he is about to dive into. Ayun. Now, what causes the gap? Divergence of objectives between the academe and the industry. It is most often caused by changes in priorities in the industrial side. Also, the lack of incentives for industry who see industry-academe linkage initiatives as a form of voluntary corporate social responsibility. According to the Ecom report, this is happening. Companies which are taking initiatives to train, to accept apprentices, ganon. They are saying here now they lack incentive. They don't receive an incentive for doing that, and doing that is not considered to be a corporate social responsibility. according to the ecom report. Now there is also low awareness, which prevents the private sector from fully taking part and from fully benefiting from existing government policies and programs. Okay, so problem done is information dissemination. The gap worsens because of a limited labor market information. Now, this is a problem of perhaps, if you're gonna ask me, it's sino pa nga ba? The Philippine Statistics Authority and the Department of Labor and Employment. What it says is this: nahihirapan ang education, ang schools. Okay, nahihirapan ng schools na mag-formulate ng mga objectives, mag-formulate ng mga goals, mag-design ng curriculum na aakma para sa labor force requirements natin. Nahirapan sila kasi wala namang labor market information na available. Kung meron man, hindi naman updated. Hindi naman natin alam kung ano exactly yung mga in demand. Hindi naman natin alam kung gaano karami na ba yung mga nandito sa ganitong klaseng trabaho. I mean, if the schools do not even know how many computer programmers are needed, are they going to be able to gauge kung ilan ba yung mga ipoproduce nila? Am I making sense? If the schools don't even know how many nurses are, in demand, are they even going to know how many nurses, more or less, are they going to produce? The labor market information is a very crucial component for schools to become more responsive to the needs of the industry, which is essential to the updating of course offerings to address the needs of the industry and the economy. In my end, I really I really don't see the point of this. Okay, so I am a graduate of Bachelor of Secondary Education, General Science, and our curriculum involved training us for all of the branches of science. So physics, chemistry, biology, integrated science, earth and space, all of it. We're trained for them. The curriculum was just like that. However, when we were taking our licensure examination, we need to choose between two kinds of licenses for science teachers, biological science or physical science. And since our school is a school where the previous graduates who also took the LET, they were selecting physical science, which is which was an indirect suggestion that we do the same. We did, and then after that, okay, we were now in service. Well, a grade level needs a teacher who is licensed for general science. So why are they going to require us to choose one? I hope I'm making sense. So why is our license only limited to physical and biological science when the actual industry needs general science? Or, if it's not answering for the entire educational industry, then I must say it answers for most of it kasi mas maraming public schools kaysa sa mga private schools. Mas maraming regular public schools kaysa sa mga special science schools. So, why? And then, the trend sa mga universities din, say, in one of my interns, it was Holy Angel University yata, meron sila is either meron sila biological science. So their interns are finding it hard. One of their interns, lang siguro. Okay, I'm not talking about all of them, pero one of their interns found it so hard to teach in grade 9 nung dumating siya kasi even in grade 10, because nung dumating siya, it was the third quarter, and in grade 9 we are no longer doing biology. What we were doing, if I'm not mistaken, it was earth and space science and physics. Okay, so he was being trained for biological science when in fact being a teacher in the Philippines more often than not means means that you need to be abreast with all of the branches. So yeah, I just find it ridiculous for universities who offer a secondary science teacher education, for them to do that, for them to limit it to physical or biological science, and even for PRC to require science teachers to choose between the two, or perhaps if that's for a purpose, like may purpose yung physical science, may purpose yung biological science, perhaps they can offer general science too. Yeah. Now, the link between jobs and labor market is hampered by the lack of available information on supply and demand. So that was my point a while ago. The DOLE is unable to provide estimates for current and future demands, due in part to the limited information that industry can provide, and due, perhaps, to the fact that we are not even doing constant checkup, or we don't have this ICT infrastructure to make that task easier. The problem is the identifying the number of how many are really in demand for a specific occupation or skills. In our consultations, the ECOP, the employers cannot say. They know they lack this and that, but in terms of how many, they cannot tell them. But they should be able to tell them. Now, this is the problem, the labor skills mismatch. It is a major cause of youth unemployment, which accounts for half of the country's total unemployment rate. So skills mismatch is different from qualifications mismatch and regional and sectoral mismatch. While this refers to this one is depending on regional and sectoral employment and unemployment dispersion, which arises when the locations and sectors where job openings are available are poorly matched with potential employees, while that refers to a more, the bigger picture. Qualification mismatch naman just refers to education. Merong mga may mga overeducated, meron din mga undereducated. So a worker has more educational qualifications than what was required, and then iba naman, they have fewer educational qualifications than what is required. So by saying qualification, we're referring to formal academic skills, okay? Ayan. Skills mismatch naman, perhaps you have this idea already. It is a mismatch between the skills, generic and technical and soft skills, held by the workers and those required by their jobs. Skills mismatch, it can involve skills deficit or skills underutilization. So skills deficit, workers' skills are not up for the requirements of the job, whereas underutilization naman, it arises when the skills exceed those required by the job. So it's still a mismatch. This figure shows us the relationship between skills supply and demand. So this is for skills supply, this is low skills, this is skills demand, low skills demand, higher skills demand. Skills supply, low skills supply, higher skills supply. So, if you have low skills demand and low skills supply, you have a low skill equilibrium. Kapag naman mababa yung demand for that skill at mataas yung supply sa sobrang skills, you have surplus. Kapag mababa naman yung supply of skills and mataas ang demand for that, magkakaroon ng skills gap and shortages. But if both of them are at par with each other, it's going to be high skill equilibrium. So the main causes of job skills mismatch are the following. We have weak labor market information system. Again, hindi natin alam kung ilan ang kailangan, kung alin ba sa mga industries ang may shortage ng skills, alin ba sa kanila ang merong marami na masyadong skills na supply, And then meron ding job seekers career preference is no longer in demand kasi si job seeker, meron siyang hinahanap din sa company na hindi niya mahanap-hanap. And parang, hindi na pala in demand yun. Inadequate preparation, education, training, and guidance. So, yan. Medyo self-explanatory na yan. Now, when asked whether or not graduates are ready, this was the answer. Okay, so from public high school, they said that they have basic preparation, they still need more training. Okay, what we're talking about in this table is, okay, this is a table that shows us the rating of employers. Nirate nila yung mga to, at kung gaano pa ba karaming training ang kakailanganin. Halimbawa, yung mga galing sa TESDA, ang sabi ng mga employers, pwede na sila. However, it's only basic preparation lang ang meron sila, so kailangan pa rin i-improve yon. Pero yung mga galing sa top tier na colleges and universities, 2.79, so halos 3, okay na daw yung training nila. Pero may konti na lang silang kailangan training. Okay, kasi 2.79. But those who are coming from public high school, it's a whopping 1.67. That means to say, graduates are not job ready. Those who are coming from public high schools. Also, this is a news article from the Philippine Star. Companies are still hesitant to hire K-12 graduates simply because of that fact too. They don't see them to be prepared enough for the actual workplace. Ayun siya. Now, when asked, they were asked naman whether or not familiar ba sila sa mga initiatives ng gobyerno. Ang mga nagsabi ng mga aware sila sa K-12, 91%. Okay, so, syempre, employers are aware na merong basic education na ganyan, na K-12. Kaso, when it comes to stuff like MRA and Philippine Qualifications Network, Job Start Philippines na initiatives, itong mga initiatives na to, hindi sila gaanong familiar dyan. Yung mga mismong employers, they are not familiar sa mga yon. Yeah, so high degree of awareness. We found that on the job training, maraming mga employers ang aware na merong on the job training ang DOLE, meron siyang ganung klaseng program. And the DepEd has a K-12 program, whereas MRA hindi talaga sila aware. So I guess they need to know what that is. Ayan. Siya yung pinakamababa. Okay, now, with the advent of Industry 4.0, this is actually a trend now in terms of economy, in terms of jobs, those kinds of talk. Okay, this is a term that we are about to, that is about to be big. Okay, Industry 4.0. So these are the new these are the new fields. Okay, these are the new what you call it. These are the new kinds of jobs that are going to be in demand, the next generation jobs. So we have cybersecurity, cloud computing, mobile technologies, machine-to-machine, 3D printing, advanced robotics, big data analytics, Internet of Things, RFID technologies, and cognitive computing. So we're referring to the future of work. Okay, so it is brought about by rapid technological developments and fast-paced industry advancements and overall work landscape. It plays a huge role in the prevailing mismatch between labor demand and labor supply in the country. In order to address this, current and future skills needs should be closely monitored and anticipated. Yung mga skills dapat na ngayon ay tinatrain na natin ay dapat connected na sa mga industries na to. Aside from this, specific interventions in the form of policies, programs, projects need to be utilized and implemented in order to maneuver the future of work. Kailangan na natin makasabay sa mga yan. The advent of Industry 4.0 is expected to have magnanimous implications towards skills development in the Philippines. So among the industries that are going to be in demand, are the following. They're considered a new industrial revolution because of its massive scope and disrupts various sectors and its speed, which has the capacity of rendering our current systems obsolete only in a matter of months. Yung mga ginagawa natin ngayon na mga processes for big data analytics, well, they may be obsolete in the near future. The things we do now for cybersecurity, they may not be as up to date in a couple of months. So we need to keep up with that. One more problem that we are seeing here is that 49% of Philippine industries are at high risk of automation over the next 20 years. Or even siguro shorter, because that is a very long projection. 80% of those ng 49% na yun that are affected will come from the business processing outsourcing or BPO and the electronics and electrical products sensors. Now, akala ko ba in demand ang BPO ngayon? Actually, several BPOs are already automating their communications with customers by using chatbots in their services. Some naman, BPOs, are using collaborative robots or cobots that are already being in the electronics sector to perform manual tasks and complementing the work of highly skilled personnel. So there are these cobots, collaborative robots, that can actually do something that the high-skilled personnel can do. So why are you going to hire a new employee? Like, yeah, I hope you're getting where you're seeing where we're heading. Workers in the construction, manufacturing, and hotels and restaurant industries also have a high risk of being automated. Out of all the workers, those that are low-skilled, as well as women, youth, and less educated workers could feel the impact of automation in the country. And these people are the identified, I'm sorry, nag-overlap siya, pero this is the explanation. These are the major generators of income, the major employment generators as of 2017 to 2022. Hindi pa naman tayo umabot dun. Again, ang table na to, ang agribusiness, construction, manufacturing, HRT, health and wellness, IT, BPM, transport and logistics, wholesale and retail trade, banking, finance, and education. Ang lahat ng mga to, sila yung mga pinaka nag-produce ng trabaho. Sila ang inasa nating mag-produce ng maraming trabaho in the period of 5 years from 2017 to 2022. If you notice, 4 sa kanila are already at risk of automation. Again, that is a problem. Kasi kapag automated na, ba't pa sila mag-hire? So, yung 4 na yun na nagko-contribute ng maraming trabaho, nagpo-produce ng maraming trabaho sa bansa, magiging automated na. So, they won't be able to make as much jobs as they can before. There will be drastic changes to the business landscape. New work arrangements that are potentially disruptive, such as telecommuting, cloud coordination, which leads to more flexible working hours, are going to happen. There will be an increased pressure to upgrade equipment and infrastructure for competitiveness. Ngayon, kung micro, small, or medium enterprise ka lang, mahihirapan ka. It's going to be potentially challenging for MSMEs to be able, in order for them to be able to to be at par with other bigger companies. And 99.6% of Philippine industry are actually just MSMEs. Now, what's now happening is that some private sectors are taking active parts already in training and has partnered with educational institutions to upgrade skills and to familiarize graduates or graduating students with the more current technology to serve their immediate requirements, such as the National College of Science and Technology partnering with Schneider Electric. Now that we have that kind of initiative from National College of Science and Technology, ako mismo, I'm hoping that more private sectors are going to partner with, I would like it to happen talaga na public sana, so that more people, it will be able to reach more people. It will be able to reach more students and teachers by putting it in a public setup. Ayan. So if there are initiatives from the private agencies, I mean from private institutions, I guess it will be better to think about incorporating them in public services. Yeah, that took a while. So yeah, we have seen that what job mismatch is. How is it coming to existence? Paano siya nangyayari? And the problem that it is, and the problems that it causes as well. And so I hope that this video helped you out with understanding it, at least on a medyo deeper pang level. Ayan. So thank you so much for listening. The Knowledge Catalog is a brand being developed by a teacher creator, yours truly, and I am a high school teacher in the Philippines, and I love developing content which I find useful and needed to better my instruction. Your support in the form of liking this video or perhaps subscribing to this channel is going to help me a lot. Okay, not just in terms of, making my mission of spreading as much information as I can. Not just in that, but also in boosting my self-esteem. Yeah. So thank you so much for watching this video and for finishing it and for making it this far.